Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me. We've got some great clips, including some that include the man who will be vice president, Tim Walz, and others, I apologize in advance, that include the guy who will never be vice president, JD Vance. It will surprise you to know that in some of these clips, JD comes across as being very aggrieved, very angry, and very ill informed. See you on the other side.
Keep hammering on these guys. This idea of calling them out for who they are, shrink them. Is he a danger to society? Yes. Is he a danger to women's health? Yes. Is he a danger to world peace? Yes.
A danger to society.
I think the real danger to society, the real threats to democracy are Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, again, who support defunding the police. I heard a threat to women's health. As a woman, I think there's no greater threat to our health than leaders who support gender transition surgeries for young minors, who support putting tampons in men's bathrooms in public schools.
Well, first of all, eloquently spoken, whoever you are. Just beautifully stated. That's all you got? I would say this to anybody who believes that Donald Trump and JD Vance are the right team to lead this country. If Kamala Harris and Tim Walz become president, vice president of the United States, you know what's going to happen to you? Do you know which ones of your rights will be taken away? None of them. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. One of your rights will be taken away from you. Your right to dictate how other people live will be taken away from you because you shouldn't have that fucking right in the first place. That's what Donald and JD Vance want, but only for you. For the rest of us, no bodily autonomy. No right to raise our children how we see fit. No right to read the books we want to read. No right to clean air and clean water. No right to have our children live free from gun violence, for God's sakes. No right to combat catastrophic climate change. And you think that none of those things will affect you. You think that your lives will be better off if you don't have any of those things either, because, by the way, it's not like pollution stops at the red state border. And most red states are low on the list for education, for maternal health, on and on and on. So the way you guys do it isn't working for you anyway. So you need to think long and hard about what's more important to you. Telling people like me how I get to live, or making the world a better place for your children and your neighbors' children and yourselves. That's what you've got to figure out between now and November 5th.
And I'll take just a couple more here, and then we got to hit the road. Thank you all.
Senator, do you think there are any similarities with Walz? And you're both from the Midwest, and we're in the...
Can you start that again?
Yeah, do you think you have any similarities? And you can talk about like common ground that you share with Walz.
Well, look, I mean, yeah, we're white guys from the Midwest. I guess there are similarities there. But what's different is the actual ideas about how best to serve people.
Wow, JD. Well spotted. Just curious though, when did you choose to be white? Anyway, white guys from the Midwest, difference of opinion on how best to serve man. Just like the Twilight Zone episode. That was a cookbook, by the way. Spoiler alert. I think that the real difference that JD was trying to get to, but I don't think that he's that good at thinking on his feet, is that Tim Walz actually has served his fellow human beings. Now, I know JD Vance also served in the military. I believe he also saw action. However, when he came home, he decided that the best thing for him to do would be to become a venture capitalist or something, which last I checked is not the best way to help out your fellow human beings. He wants to take away women's right to choose, people's right to use IVF to have children. He apparently wants to outlaw childlessness, even as he wants to make it harder for some people to get pregnant. Work that one out in your head. And he is running to be the vice president of a man who thinks that people who serve in the military, people who've been wounded in service to their country, people who have been killed in service to their country and its freedoms are suckers and losers. Give me Tim Walz any day of the week and in perpetuity, because JD Vance, you just really suck.
And now we are where we are. And if you want to bring peace to that region, you need a negotiator who Vladimir Putin respects. Does anybody here, and obviously we're in a biased crowd, but does anybody here actually think that Vladimir Putin respects Kamala Harris? She's afraid of all of you. She sure as hell isn't going to be able to sit in an audience with Vladimir Putin and push for a reasonable peace. So we've got to have a person who understands diplomacy, who understands that America does have negotiating leverage, that shuts off energy in places, or shuts off access to energy in places where you have bad guys running the energy policy, rebuilds the American energy sector, allows us to project power overseas, and makes Vladimir Putin know that we got to bring peace, and you got to have respect for an American president who can do that.
Okay. A real leader, like President Biden, for example, doesn't give a shit what Vladimir Putin thinks of him, because Vladimir Putin, in addition to being a murderous thug and dictator, is pathetic. Because only somebody as weak as he is would have to surround himself with the trappings of the strongman, kill his adversaries, and launch illegal invasions. Vladimir Putin counts on useful idiots like Donald Trump. So when JD Vance misleads his audience into saying that, I assume he's talking about the situation in Ukraine, that Donald Trump, you know, world-class diplomat, like, where did they come up with this stuff? Seriously, where did they come up with this stuff? It's all made up out of whole cloth. It's like somebody said the other day that Donald Trump doesn't have a racist bone in his body. I'm like, oh, wow. Are they, they must pay you a lot of money to decide that you having a conscience is not important to you anymore. So to pretend that Donald Trump, of all people, is going to teach Vladimir Putin a lesson and bring peace to the region. You know how Donald Trump brings peace to that region? He gives Russia Ukraine. That's what Donald Trump is going to do. So beware tiny men who suck up to dictators, who say that people like Kim Jong-un love them because they will dismantle this country and sell its parts to the highest bidder. He is so easy to read. And we saw this. Elon Musk supports Donald. Suddenly, Donald's totally cool with electric cars. Maybe not so much electric boat batteries and sharks, but electric cars are cool now because that's what Elon Musk makes. And Elon Musk likes Donald. The calculus is literally that simplistic. Do you seriously think that Vladimir Putin doesn't have Donald Trump wrapped around his little finger? And if that's your idea of strength, JD, then you're even less fit for this than I thought you were. And by the way, I didn't think you were fit at all. So maybe take a look at what's really going on in the world. Maybe take a look at what your party has done to complicate a situation in which our ally is at a huge disadvantage because it is unable to defend itself as well as it should be against an aggressor who, by the way, is our enemy, because your party won't fund that war sufficiently. They drag their feet for months, putting our ally at greater risk, and not just our ally. Democracy, Western democracy, Europe, and America. And nobody will put America and democracy and the Western alliance at greater risk than you, JD Vance, and your puppet master, Donald Trump, who is Putin's puppet. Yeah, Hillary Clinton was right about everything. Before we get to the next clip, I just want to ask everybody if you could please subscribe to the Mary Trump Media channel if you haven't already. We're really trying to build our subscriber base, and you guys are an integral part of that. Doesn't cost anything, just means you're going to get alerted anytime new videos drop. Thanks.
So first of all, the reason I didn't say a whole lot about Tim Walz is because the Democrats have showed a willingness to pull a little switcheroo on us. So I don't even know if we're actually going to get Tim Walz out of this campaign. And I think that a lot of us are asking ourselves, well, it's not going to be official until the Democrats actually nominate him, I guess, at their convention next week. So that's the first reason. The second reason is, look, Tim Walz's record is a joke. He's been one of the most far-left radicals in the entire United States government at any level. But I think that what Tim Walz's selection says is that Kamala Harris has bent the knee to the far left of her party, which is what she always does.
Yeah. Those liberal commie prosecutors and attorneys general, my God, what's to become of us? Again, it's really easy to run a campaign like that when the people you're talking to are so eager to believe you, who have clearly no critical thinking skills. Did any of those people in that room, probably including JD Vance, ever hear of Tim Walz before he was nominated? Or maybe until he said that JD Vance is weird? No. They know nothing about him. They know nothing about his record. Nothing. All you need to do if you're JD Vance or Donald Trump is hit the right words, right? They have their signals. Far, radical, left, liberal. What else do they call us? I don't know. That's about it. Like that. Our country will be destroyed. Hell on earth. Immigrants will run rampant. Immigrants will vote. Immigrants with calves the size of cantaloupes are coming in caravans. Look at me being all alliterative here. I mean, come on. It is just absurd that they are allowed to get away with this. But when they have people who support them who have absolutely no interest in the truth, that makes their job easy. We're going to make their job harder. Or I should say, Vice President Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz, are going to make their jobs harder by making it clear that there are other choices than the apocalyptic misery Donald and JD Vance continue to subject their supporters to. It's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting. And at some point, they have to see it. Until they wake up, though, it's going to be more of the same, because one thing Donald knows intuitively is that Goebbels was right. You tell the lie enough times and it becomes true. And that's all they got.
Sweet, fancy Moses.
That was perhaps the only way to keep me from jumping out of my window. I mean, please make it stop. Yeah, I okay. There's this thing, Donald, it's called self-awareness. Maybe you've heard of it. Of course you haven't. You're a narcissist. Yeah, we don't need any more of that. I don't know if you guys ever saw the SpongeBob movie. Um, Great story. I saw that. Well, I tried to see that movie 3 times. My daughter was about 3.5 at the time. And we were living on the Upper West Side. So we walked to the movie theater. We go in, and I shouldn't laugh, but it's funny. It was not funny at the time. But, in movie theaters, the seats go up, and she was so sorry.
3 hours later.
Okay, so anyway, so the first time we went, she sat down, but she was so little that she fell through the back of the seat, and the seat folded up. So she was hysterical, understandably. This was like 20 minutes in. So we left. Next weekend, she wanted to go see, she called him Sponge Square. She wanted to go see Sponge Square. So we went back, got her popcorn. Wait, no, I didn't, because she was too little. We did not get popcorn because that would have been very irresponsible of me, because she was only 3.5. Whatever. We got her drink and her candy, whatever it was. And she was very antsy, waiting for the movie to start. So we didn't even make it to the beginning of the movie. She stood up, and you know how in the aisles between seats, there's that little raised thing on the floor that lights up so people can see where they're going. She trips over it and falls on her face. So we left because she was crying so hard. So the third time was the charm, though. Anyway, there's a scene in the movie where the king, played by Jeffrey Tambor, whatever his name is, he's bald and he's very self-conscious about it, and he wants hair. And one of his attendants comes in, and the king takes off his crown, and his bald head is like very shiny, and the attendant says, "My eyes, my eyes." That's how I felt watching that clip. Thanks again for joining me. I love doing these clips, so I hope you keep coming back, because I'm going to. Just another reminder that we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel. We have a goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers as quickly as we can. As you may have heard, we are in the lead up to the most important election of our lifetime, and our goal is to have as much reach as we can. And you're really important in that effort. So please subscribe, also like and share the videos, and I will see you soon. Thanks.